There's an absolute ton of noise online when it comes to how to do lead gen on LinkedIn. And I hate to say it, but a lot of these opinions come from complete newbies who haven't really lived and breathed LinkedIn lead gen like I have. And 5 years later, I've worked with over 40 companies to bring in thousands of customers and millions in revenue through the leads I've generated from the platform. So in this video, I'm gonna be giving you the 3-step blueprint to how I'm able to generate thousands of highly qualified leads from LinkedIn so you can literally just copy me. And whether you're a SaaS company, a marketing agency, a B2B service provider, a solopreneur, or even in a different industry entirely, this is the only strategy you'll need to succeed on LinkedIn. And I know that based on the experience that I've had creating LinkedIn content for all these different industries. And real quick, before we jump into this, you might not understand why LinkedIn is so strong for lead gen. And even if you already know a little about it, you might not know this. There's a stigma around LinkedIn that it's boring, it's sterile, it's just a job searching platform. Why are you posting content on there? Bro, this isn't Facebook. Stop posting selfies. Not that you should post selfies, but there's this stigma around LinkedIn that it's not a content posting platform and that it can't be helpful for generating valuable leads for your company. But if you haven't used the platform consistently lately, you might not realize that LinkedIn is at this point far more than just a job searching platform. It's a content platform. And they're pushing content creation more and more because only 1% of the users on the platform post any content. So they're incentivizing it with pretty good organic reach. And you want to be capitalizing on that for lead gen for your companies. And I'll show you how to do that in this video. And honestly, between you and I, one of the reasons why I love LinkedIn so much is because the bar for great content is so low on the platform. If you just post stuff that isn't completely sterile and boring and super corporate, you're going to stand out pretty easily. Whereas Instagram and TikTok and these other social platforms are far more competitive and take a higher level of content to win. So LinkedIn's a massive opportunity. You should know that 94% of B2B marketers use LinkedIn to distribute content. And naturally, because it's a professional platform, LinkedIn often has higher quality leads than other social platforms, especially for B2B businesses like SaaS companies, agencies, or others. But the biggest advantage for you here as a B2B founder or marketer is that people actually want to consume educational content on LinkedIn. Not that they don't on other platforms. You'll consume some educational content on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube like you are right now. But on LinkedIn in particular, people want to learn about things related to their job. It has to be entertaining and compelling, but it doesn't have to be this sort of brain rot TikTok or Instagram reels that people will often watch to turn their brain off after work. And the cool thing is, like I mentioned earlier, only 1% of users create content on the platform. So there's sort of this blue ocean for companies who can create decent content on the platform. Okay, so you understand why LinkedIn is so important and a great opportunity, but how do you actually make it work? And there are 3 pillars to this strategy, and the first 2 solve by far the most important and pressing problem that I see a lot of SaaS founders, agency owners, or any B2B founders or marketers run into when they start to generate leads or try to generate leads from LinkedIn. And that's that they don't understand that people want to buy from people, not faceless corporations. Let me explain this. And to see this in action, we can just look over to consumer brands, whether it be in health and fitness, apparel, or any other category, start to use founder-led content or personal branding to get in front of their target audience. And oftentimes what you'll notice in these companies is that their founder will often have a cult following on social and get more engagement than the company pages. You see the same trend starting to happen in B2B. A few examples of consumer brands just to tie that point together. If you look at Represent and George Heaton, George gets a ton of engagement on social and really uses his brand to amplify Represent. Same thing with Nick Bare from BPN. And you're seeing more and more folks do this. And like I said, it's starting to bleed over into B2B marketing. I mean, even just using myself as an example, I've been able to build my agency to 7 figures off of my personal brand alone. And just look at the comparison and engagement on my content versus my agency's content. It's not that the agency content is bad. It's just that people want to follow and engage with people on social. And you can take this idea of personal branding and apply it to your company. So if you're starting to post on LinkedIn and want to use it to generate leads, you don't want to start posting on your company page right away. Start from your personal account. And again, you'll see this trend with a lot of the most successful B2B companies on social right now. So Austin Hughes from Unify has been crushing it on LinkedIn. They just announced their Series A fundraise, and off the back of that and the content they posted on LinkedIn, on Twitter, they were able to generate $2 million in pipeline in 24 to 48 hours. And you can see they announced their Series A from Austin's account, not necessarily the company page. And it got over 1,400 likes, 467 comments, which is insane, and over 100 reposts. If they posted it from the Unify company account, it probably wouldn't have performed as well. I bet money on it. Adam Robinson is another example of a B2B founder who's done founder-led content to near perfection, and he's built his 2 companies to a combined $24 million in ARR, largely off the back of LinkedIn. And with his newest company, RB2B, he scaled it to over $3 million in ARR in just a few months, again, using LinkedIn content as the primary lead gen strategy. Jimmy Kim, founder of Sendlane, is another example of someone who's able to use social very effectively and has generated millions in pipeline and revenue from LinkedIn and social content. content. And again, using myself as an example, I've been able to grow the agency from 0 to 7 figures in revenue, largely off the back of my personal brand. If someone's not coming from a direct client referral, they're coming from a LinkedIn post or seeing my content on the timeline. Now, once you've got your profile set up with your profile picture, little header in the background, the About Me section, get your featured links set up, and then making sure you have a call to action to visit your website. For me, I like to drive people to my newsletter to drive email signups. Once you have that set up, you want to actually start posting content. And there are 3 types of content you'll want to post. One is going to be top of funnel content. This is going to be broader content that tends to perform really well on LinkedIn, but isn't always super targeted to your ICP. So in a lot of cases, this will look like documenting your founder journey or talking about how you think about hiring or culture or broader topics that the LinkedIn audience loves. And this is great for generating a lot of likes and comments and engagement. Middle of funnel content is industry specific thought leadership. So not quite a sales pitch. You don't want to just start shilling your product. The goal with middle of funnel content is to become the go-to resource for your ICP. So whereas top of funnel is a bit more broad, middle of funnel is more specific. So say, again, using Jimmy Kim as an example, he would post a lot of content about email marketing. And that middle of funnel content bucket would be email marketing tips, myths about email marketing, and other types of content that would establish him as a thought leader for people who want to get better at email marketing. Because eventually, when that follower needs an email marketing platform, they're going to go to SendLine because they trust Jimmy. That's just an example. And the third type of content is going to be bottom of funnel content. This is pretty straightforward. This is all the product related stuff like case studies, feature highlights, new launches. This is all the content that you would consider pretty salesy. A lot of founders make the mistake of doing too much of this content. And while it's great for driving conversions, you also need to build an audience first that wants to buy from you. So you want to have the appropriate balance of all 3 content types. And I bet you hear the words personal brand hundreds of times per day as you're scrolling Instagram or on Twitter or even on LinkedIn or here on YouTube, how to build your personal brand. A lot of it's pretty fluff, but if you do it right, it is by far the most powerful thing you can do for generating leads for your B2B company. Now, I know I just talked about how personal branding is more important and effective than company page branding, but you don't want to completely ignore your company page. It's really important, but for a totally different reason. You're going to use your personal brand to generate a lot of traffic. A lot of new people are going to find you through your personal content, but they're going to end up going to your company page when they're considering buying your product. So what I recommend is treating your company page like a well-optimized landing page. You want to make it obvious what you do. You want to share any new features or exciting things that your customers love. And you want to make sure you have social proof visible on the company page. So you answer the question, why should I trust you for this? And the good news is it's not incredibly complicated to set up your company page. So Unify is an example of a company that works with Compound, and they have a very well set up company page. First and foremost, profile picture, just the logo, easy enough. A banner, I would recommend having a branded banner. It doesn't matter as much on your personal page, but on the company page, I'd recommend just having a banner like this, where you have your sort of tagline or value prop, and then include a few logos like they do here. This is great for social proof. Again, it shows other companies that use your product, and it sort of answers the question, why should I trust you? Because when people are making buying decisions, whether it's for software or for services, they want to know the ROI that you can give them, and they want to know who else just like them has used your product or service to be successful. So you want to display that on your company page. And the headline here, pretty straightforward. You just want to, again, share your value prop in a concise way. Don't overcomplicate it. A lot of people try to use super fancy language, but the more simple and direct you can keep it, the better. And then similar line of thinking with the about section. You want to keep it concise and pretty direct. Don't overcomplicate this, but you want to hit a few key points. One, you obviously want to answer the question, what does your product do? Again, people are coming to this page likely through your personal accounts. They're familiar with your founder and generally what you do already, but just make it very clear and direct and obvious on your company account. And then of course you'll want to add in some social proof. I think Unify does a great job of this with listing a few customers here like Lattice, JustWorks, OpenPhone, and Guru, names that people in the B2B software and sales space would recognize. Now down here in the featured links section, you want to make this the next obvious step in your buyer's journey. So if they're coming from your personal account, they landed on the company page, they're likely considering buying or becoming a customer at this point. So you want to make it obvious what the next step in that journey is for them. So if you're a software company, a book a demo page, or even just your homepage to your marketing site is an effective link to use in your featured section. And if you're an agency or service-based business, you want to book a call or fill out a lead form or something like that. That's going to move them closer to becoming a customer of yours. And same thing with the CTA button up here. So for Unify, we have it as book a demo, but again, it could be book a call or visit our website or whatever that next obvious step in your buyer's journey is. And you'll notice with the content types on the company page, a lot of this is more bottom of funnel, like product related. Whereas again, the founder content or personal brand content might have top of funnel, like founder journey type of stuff or hiring or culture related content. Your company page is largely going to be bottom of funnel, like, hey, feature highlights, case studies, stuff that's going to move people closer to being seeing buyers. Now we've got the content piece taken care of on LinkedIn, both from your personal brand and then from your company page. But that's only the first half of what goes into generating predictable leads and revenue from LinkedIn. Now you can't just post content on LinkedIn. What you'll find if you do that and you don't engage or build your network is that you'll post really good content, but it's not going to get any engagement. And you're going to be stressing out and wondering, why isn't LinkedIn working? It's because you didn't watch till the end of this video and get the back half of the actual strategy. So content from your personal brand, from your company page, crucial, and that's absolutely needed. But you also want to be actively building your network and feeding relevant people into your audience and your community. And the good news is you don't need a massive network, you just need the right one. I'd rather you have 1,000 loyal followers who are engaged than build up this fluffy audience of 50,000 people who aren't going to buy anything from you. Because again, the goal here is to get you customers, not to make you a celebrity. And the playbook here is really simple. LinkedIn allows you to send about 100 connection requests per week. So every day, Monday through Friday, you want to send 20 outbound connection requests to relevant accounts. You can either find them manually just by searching up the roles and company types that your ICP would be. So if you're selling into heads of content at B2B SaaS companies, you might just type into the search bar, head of content, B2B SaaS, or head of content SaaS, and see who comes up. Filter by people, and you'll be able to send connection requests to these folks. You can also run a search in Sales Navigator, which is LinkedIn's sales tool, which allows you to build lists of leads. And this is another way to find people in very specific roles that you can send connection requests to and feed into your audience and your network. When you send connection requests to these folks, just make it blank. I've actually found that they perform better when they're blank versus with a note. If you're going to include a note, just make it short, concise, and actually natural. Don't do this whole thing where it's like, oh, I noticed you liked so-and-so's post, so I want to add you to my network. Or I noticed you're also a human, so I wanted to add you to my network. That doesn't work well. Just send a blank connection request. And when you're first starting to do this, look for folks who have a lot of mutual connections. So if you send a blank connection request to someone who has like 25 mutual connections to you, they're probably going to accept the connection request. If someone has no mutual connections, they might still accept, but it's going to be a lot less likely. Now you can definitely scale this with software and automations, but honestly, what I would recommend is just do it manually. You can either do manual search or Sales Navigator, but actually send the connection request yourself. There's a certain limit on the amount of connections that you can send, so it doesn't even take you that long. Like you can crank through 20 connection requests that are relevant in 10, 15, 20 minutes a day max. And doing so allows you to be more precise versus just having this automation running on autopilot in the background and you don't know who's actually ending up in your audience. The goal here is to add perfect potential customers to your audience by hand. So that way, when you start posting content, they're going to engage and that content is going to perform better. And now once you start doing that and feeding people into your network and you're posting content and you're getting folks organically just following you and engaging, you want to start to build relationships with them in the DMs and the comments. The real secret sauce for winning on LinkedIn or any social platform really is the relationships that you build. Because like we talked about earlier, people buy from people, but then also people engage with other people on social. So as you build relationships with folks, they're going to engage in your content more, and therefore your content is going to perform better and get in front of more relevant people. So the more that you can build this community on social, the more effective you're going to be. And one of the interesting things about LinkedIn is when larger accounts comment or engage on your content, it gets amplified to more people in their audience. So one of the best things you could do is to start to build real genuine relationships with other creators who have significant audiences, ideally that also have your ICP in their audience. So they start engaging on your content and you get in front of their audience, which is filled with potential customers. But the only way you do this is by building one-to-one relationships. You can't really automate this process. So how do you actually do this? Like, what does it look like? One of my favorite ways to get into the DMs and to start that conversation is to compliment one of the recent posts that they made or something that they published on their own personal profile. So say I saw this post from Adam about how you don't need 100,000 followers to be wildly successful on LinkedIn. It really resonated with me. One, I agree with the take, but two, if I wanted to build that relationship with Adam and I didn't know him already, I would shoot him a DM and be like, hey, love that post about X, Y, or Z. Just super simple compliment. Don't make it a paragraph, a sentence or two max, and don't hard pitch yourself. Just be normal. The advice here on sending DMs and building relationships is act like a normal human being. Don't try to be overly salesy. Definitely don't try to move them to a call right away. Just a quick one-liner that opens the conversation. And then what you'll notice is kind of go back and forth a little bit. They're going to start seeing your content more and engaging, and over time that relationship builds. And either one, you just have a relationship and people engage with you on the platform, or two, that person could end up being a potential customer. And when they're ready to buy a product in your category, you're going to be top of mind because of your content, and you also have a relationship with them. And people want to do business with other people that they trust and know. So in this video, I gave you more of a broad overview of LinkedIn lead gen strategy, but where my specialty really is and where I'd recommend you start if you're starting from zero is personal branding, that founder-led content we talked about earlier. That could get you a lot of the way there. And I've helped over 40 founders launch and scale their LinkedIn content presence and generate hundreds of leads and millions in revenue from the platform. So I do have a few slots open for my agency right now, and particularly if you're a SaaS founder, this could be a great fit for you. So if that sounds interesting and you want to use LinkedIn, but you don't have the time to figure it out yourself, just apply for the waitlist below. I'll reach out when we have slots, and I'll see you soon.